Welcome to the Real Boardloft. I'm Forman, and today we are going to talk about the return of the Maurice Cole Reverse V. Everyone remembers Tom Curran on the famous Maurice Cole logoless Reverse V at backdoor, that oh so famous turn, laying it down on rail. Well, we are here to tell you that the Reverse V is back, and a modernized version of it, obviously modernized bottom contours and rocker and dimensions, but the Reverse V is definitely back. This is a board that Maurice made for me, and I got a chance to surf it this year in some challenging waves, and this was the board that sold me on the Reverse V and what it can do for you. So, beaming back to that session, I was having maybe, like, I guess you would call it like a hit or miss session. I got some good waves, but I also had a lot of frustrating fails. I was having it was like a challenging kind of late drop, like where you would get flicked into the wave, and some of them you would make, and then a lot of other ones you would just kind of like pole vault. You would kind of stick the nose and whoo, like that, and get like chucked off the board. Later on in the day, I went back, and it was actually even more challenging than that session. And I said, well, you know what? And it was because there was a combo swell now at the same time. And so there was all this grain and bump and stuff in the wave. I switched to this board, and immediately I could not miss a drop. And it was like whether I was on a perfect drop, I'd make the drop, or if it was like a messed up drop, I would make the drop. If it was a late drop, like I was never gonna make the drop, the board would make the drop for me. And it really blew me away. There was a few that I just straight up pooched that I should not have made, and the board just auto-corrected, engaged, and went down the line. So I immediately, I was blown away. I went back to the car, shot a picture of the board, sent that picture with Maurice, and a text to Maurice, and I was just like, dude, did you put like Tesla auto drive into this thing, or what is the deal with this thing? And so he was stoked to hear that, and that literally is what opened my eyes to it. It's a great board. You know, as far as like the down the line characteristics and everything, I'll let Nick Carroll tell you that. So check out the written review that's on our website, because he does a really good job describing how the board surfs on the wave. The main thing that I wanted to tell you about is just the way that this board drops into waves and engages is like really nothing I've ever surfed before, and that's why a lot of people liked the original Reverse V. But the original Reverse V, if you remember, was 6'4" by like 18 by like 2 1/8. It was a tiny little chip of a board, which somehow worked back then. I'm not really sure. Maybe humans were smaller back then, but it wouldn't work in today's day and age. So what we did is we got up with Maurice, and we're like, hey, this is definitely worth bringing back. Let's do something with this bottom shape, and we did a collaborative effort with Maurice to bring it back in 3 models. So what I'm holding here is the Shorty, which is like your standard everyday, like small to medium wave shortboard, kind of like your daily driver. And then in back of me, we have the Shorty, we have the Step Up, and then we have the Hybrid. And the Hybrid would be something similar to like a Red Dingo, but in a Reverse V form. This board right here, the Step Up, would be similar to a Proto, although slightly tweaked, but with a Reverse V bottom. And then the Shorty is like your standard kind of a little bit wider nose, hipped, squash tail shortboard. So these boards, all of them have the same bottom shape, pretty similar rocker lines, and then the same kind of overall foam flow on the board. So looking at the board, you could see that it has a beak nose up front, and then what Maurice has done compared to the original Reverse V is he's lowered the nose rocker, and then he's also added a little bit more flip out the back. The original Reverse V just had a V right here under the chest that would then taper off. Now what he's done is he's actually put a little bit of concave in between the center line and the rail. So there's a little bit of concave on both sides of the stringer to give it a little bit extra lift and a little bit extra speed, but the center of the board is definitely higher than the rails. And so what that does is it allows the board to rock off the center of the board underneath your front foot, and that's what's helping that board, no matter how poorly you drop into the wave or how late you drop it in the wave, is helping it engage onto the rail really quickly and easily. And then going out to the back of the board, you just basically have decreasing V until you get into the fins, and then you basically have nothing from here out the back with just that little bit of extra added flip. On all of the reverse Vs, what Maurice has continued with his like sharper, crisp rail. Like typically on any short board, you're going to see sharper rails, up to about here in the board, and then they're going to get real soft up forward. What Maurice does is he keeps that edge all the way forward, basically to the nose of the board. So it's a little bit weird, like you're hanging out and you're feeling up here and you're like, man, there's still even a sharp edge up here, but all the way back. But it's really tucked under the board. I'm not sure if you can see this in the video, but he really brings the rail way underneath. And then there's just a crisp edge right there. And that does two things. One is it gives you a whole lot more drive. When it allows you to use, rather than just the edge here and the fins to drive and project forward in the turn, it allows you to use every bit of the rail that you put in the water as to add extra drive to the board. The other thing that it does, and everybody that rides one of these boards or any of his other shapes that have that crisp edge does, is it ends up being a faster board, because the water, rather than coming to the edge of the board and wrapping around the rail, which is what it'll do on a soft edge, it has a clean exit point off of that crisp edge, and it just comes right off the board. And so there's way less drag on these boards than on a board that has a rounded edge. So talking a little bit about the models, this is the Shorty, and one of the things that we did with Maurice is come up with the overall shape, or at least lead him towards this overall shape, but also modernize the dimensions, because 18 wide and 2 1/8 thick isn't going to fly in 2019. So you'll see all the dimensions have been brought into kind of what people would want to have in their kind of everyday average wave shortboard, not pumping waves, but just like an average wave everyday daily driver. So that's the Shorty, and that's basically like your all around everyday shortboard. The next board above the Shorty is called the Reverse V Step Up. And this board, like when we were talking with Maurice, we're like, hey, this one, we just want to make this thing a tube hero. Like basically like when it's going off and people pull this board out, make this board so that it's going to help people get more waves, get more barreled, and just have a freaking good time. That was 100% of the design target on it. So compared to the Proto, you can see it's got a little bit more nose up here, a little bit more nose width. It also has that beak. And you can also see, like right here, just the way that he's bringing the beak down into the rail and then also tucking that edge underneath the board. That's really unique when you look at other boards that would kind of be in the same category. Again, that same bottom shape where the nose rocker has been lowered. It's got V with a slight concave on both sides that fades out to flat, and then a little bit more flip in the back. The Shorty is a dedicated thruster where you look at the step up is a 5-fin in all of the sizes. So this board is going to be basically any surf with, any surf that's got punch. I mean, you can ride it in small waves. Our videographer Jeffrey O'Neill has been riding his like all the way down to fun, waist high days, as long as they have punch. But it's going to be a board, when the Shorty steps out, or when it gets out of the range of the Shorty, you could go to this board, or when it's barreling and it's going off, you can go to this board. Jeffrey, why don't you jump on screen, man? Tell us a little bit about your step up.
What's up, Trip?
What's up, Jeffrey? How are you, man? Nice reverse V step up. You got. What size is that?
Thank you. This is a 6'4" by 20 1/4 by 2 5/8.
Wait, hold on a second. We gotta stop the what is it? You shoot on film or something? Is it like an 8-track? So we got to stop the tape. I got to give Jeffrey first an introduction. So Jeffrey is normally behind the counter. He helps film and edit all the reviews. He's also Brett Barley's filmer. But what people don't know is he can also actually surf really, really well. Probably
sometimes.
Probably because of all the time you spend watching other people surf really well.
It helps a lot.
But Jeffrey got the very first reverse V step up out of the box. He saw that board come out of the box in the warehouse, bought it, and then got barreled on it in I think under 24 hours. So tell us about that board and what you like about it.
I just came in and actually knew there was going to be a big swell coming, and Brett is currently in Hawaii, so I knew it was my time to maybe at least try my luck at the lighthouse, because that wave is just absolutely terrifying. And I wanted to prove my worth. And so I saw this come out of the box, and I just bought it immediately because it just looked insane. And it looked really good for some bigger waves with a lot of water moving. And yeah, I took it out at the lighthouse, and first wave, it felt insane. It just felt like so smooth and controlled and really just solid. I'm always riding smaller boards, so it definitely helped that it's a lot bigger than anything I usually ride, but it really, it's pretty insane. I rode it that day, and I mean, the lighthouse is a scary place, so I didn't get any of the good waves that were coming in, but then the next like 3 days after that with all the leftover swell, and it worked in like punchy waist high waves, and it worked in, you know, like overhead lighthouse. I didn't really get any of the crazy waves, but.
And lighthouse, I mean, overhead lighthouse is not like overhead California, right?
No, overhead lighthouse is some of the scariest stuff I've ever seen. I was terrified. I was genuinely terrified out there. It helps put in perspective how crazy someone like Brett or Cash Barris or any of those guys who surf the lighthouse on the regular and get good waves, how crazy they really are. But, you know, the board also helped. I paddled out, and I was paddling over bombs, and I was pretty scared, but then I remembered that I just had this new board, and I just turned and whipped on a decent sized wave for that day, and just first wave, I knew it felt so good. It's just so much more solid and smooth, and it works really well. And
what about that feeling that I felt? Because actually, when I surfed my Shorty, it was also at the lighthouse, and I was feeling a lot of those same emotions that you were feeling. So what about like dropping into the wave and getting the thing on rail?
I had a couple late drops. I don't think I had anything too crazy because I was not going for the craziest waves, but it definitely it like hooks in and going down. I don't know. I just going down the line or just dropping in, and then when I put it on rail, it just kind of like slingshots you up and just sends you down the line. And then later that day, I was surfing up here in Red Anthe, and on the same board, and I took off on a wave that I thought I was going to be way too deep on, and I did like one pump and kind of completely outran the thing because as soon as I thought for sure I was going to be way behind it, and as soon as I paddled in and took off, and it just goes so fast.
How was it? What's the report?
She did good. She's a good first day on the job here. It's pretty incredible. I'm not huge on like tech or anything, but it definitely performed to beyond my expectations.
And then what about the color? Did anybody give you grief about pink, or did you just rock it?
No, I rocked it, and I thought the big lighthouse with all the big dogs would be a good place to put it in the water first and get their opinion on it.
Awesome, man, awesome. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, dude. So the last board we're gonna talk about is the Reverse V Hybrid. And this is a board that literally almost anyone could surf. And you can see it's a fuller volumed board, but man, this thing's freaking sexy when you have it in your hands for a bunch of different reasons. Let's just check out the dimensions on this one. This is 7.0, 22, 2 7/8, and it's 48.75 liters. And again, same rocker, same bottom shape, same kick out the tail, same beak nose, which on a hybrid just looks crazy, man. It looks really, really good. And same pull down rails, same tucked under, crisp edge, the whole length of the board, and then that flat out the back of the board. So this board, Maurice has a really good stronghold like in this style of board. Like his red dingo and his black dingo are super popular worldwide. And this is, you know, with everything that Maurice learned with those two boards, this is an offshoot of those two boards, but it's definitely, when you have it, it's kind of hard to see online. Like if you're looking at a picture of one and a picture of other, like they'll kind of look similar, but there's a lot of differences. You know, from the front of the board to the back, that beak, you know, that more aggressively pulled rail. You know, obviously the bottom shape is going to be the biggest one, but they also have a little bit more kick out the back. So we're getting the question already, well, what's the difference between a dingo and this board? Basically this board is going to be able to surf more aggressively. The Dingo is probably going to work a little bit better on the way bottom end of the range because of that deeper concave and the fuller rail and the flatter tail rocker, where this board is going to be able, you're going to be able to power surf it more, get it up on rail more, and then also have that forgiveness into the wave that we talked about in the Shorty because of that reverse V bottom. So if you're a red Dingo fan or a black Dingo fan and you're looking to get a reverse V, this would be an awesome board to step into because it's going to be familiar, like from that hybrid design that Maurice does, but it's going to be a racier board. Also, if you're looking for this style of board, if you're just looking for a really easy to surf, fun performance board for a trip, this would be a better board, I think, than one like a red Dingo would be, just because if you're going into good waves and you really want to push your surfing, this would be a great board to get into as well. And these, I think on the first run, we got these like 6'8" up to about 8'6" in this board, or 8'0", or 8'6", but all of them just look, I mean, they just look incredible, feel incredible, and they also seem to have a wider age spread of people that are picking them up and perving on them compared to the red Dingos and the black Dingos was more like a mature surfer board, where this one, we're getting like 20-year-olds picking up the 6'8" and being like, man, this thing looks sick, you know, and really, really checking the thing out. So again, this is the reverse V hybrid, and just a little bit, you know, racier, or actually looking at the thing, quite a bit racier version of the Dingo series, and available like in a wide range of sizes. Another thing you'll notice on all of the reverse Vs is just the finish work, and that's something else that we work with Maurice. Like, we wanted to bring back that reverse V feel to the look, or the reverse V look to the whole lineup. So you're going to see his original logo, the teddy bear logo, is on there, but we also sized it down on all the boards, so it's just like a small, tasteful little hit of the logo. You'll see a lot of those same rail sprays that he did back then on the original reverse Vs, and then also some good looking solid tints as well. And all of that was kind of brings the model all into, kind of has that similar feel to the original reverse Vs, but, you know, obviously with a lot of modernized twists to it. And, you know, the last thing, and it might not seem like a lot, but, you know, it's just like a little touches, I think, that make a difference, is there's no model logos on the board. So it's not like battle of the logos all over the board. There's just a little teddy bear. That's it, little teddy bear on the bottom, little teddy. And then the model is written on the bottom of the board when he signs it. So on this one, it would just say reverse V hybrid, reverse V Shorty, reverse V step up. It's just the little things to bring it all together. If you have any questions about any of the reverse Vs, the reverse V Shorty, the reverse V step up, or the reverse V hybrid, you can give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000, or you can look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.